yesterday, freshmen took the Aspire test. And even if you're not a freshman, this is still important because you'll take the ACT next year. And this is basically a practice test of the ACT. It's just a little bit different. But your goal should be to score a 428 or higher on the Aspire math test so that you can qualify for a grade bump. So they are offering grade bumps similar to how they do for the ACT. If you score this score or higher, then you'll get a grade bump, and it applies to both semesters. So semester 1 and semester 2, which I didn't know at first. So that's pretty exciting. So those of you that got A's first semester, that still gives you an incentive to basically solidify your A by making sure, like, well, if the worst thing happens, you bump down to a B, well, at least I still have that grade bump in the Aspire. So that's good. And then not only that, if you didn't get credit last semester because you failed, you can get credit and not have to go to summer school to get that credit back, or repeat it a year to get that credit back. So very exciting that they're offering that. If you get a perfect score in any area of the Aspire test, so maybe you get a perfect score in math or science or English, then it automatically bumps to an A, even if it was an F. If you get a perfect score in any of the sections, you bump to an A. So that's exciting too, because there has been instances for the ACT, because this is the first time they're doing the Aspire test. But for the ACT, they've offered this same incentive in the past, and there are some kids who literally don't do anything all semester, but manage to pull a high enough score on the ACT or SAT that they get bumped to an A automatically. All right, why those kids do nothing all year when they're actually like smart, I don't know. But that's a pretty cool incentive that they offer. So what we're gonna do is basically pause our Unit 8 for a few days until after we're done with the Aspire. For these few days, we'll go over like problem solving strategies, and then just kind of review some stuff that should be common knowledge or something that you've learned in previous years. Because if you say like don't know what the formula is for volume, or you don't know what are unique about like parallel lines, just things like that, and you might not be able to answer that question. So that's what we'll look at within these next few days. One thing I really want to stress to you guys is that, yeah, we're doing stuff in class, but really you guys should be preparing at home too. Just because there is a potential grade bump being offered for both semesters. So I would, especially if I failed, I would be working my butt off to try to qualify for this grade bump. So just letting you know. So what you can do from home is go on to Google, type in TestNav, and click on the very first link. It's also, I think you guys can still go into your apps and go to TestNav that way. But you can type it into Google, click the very first link, and it looks just like it did yesterday, right? Yes? All right. So then you would click on ACT Aspire, and you get your username and password the day of, but if you scroll below that under sign in, it says exemplars. And you have basically practice tests for all the subjects. So your main focus should be reading and math, since that's what you'll be tested on Tuesday. My focus is math, obviously, so we'll look at that a little bit today. So scroll to early high school. And here are some instructions that would be the same as what you'll see the day of. So you can preview the instructions ahead of time. And I'm glad that you guys took for the other subjects already, because there was some like problems, there were some glitches. I'm hoping all of that will be gone next week. Know that as soon as you press start, you're on a timer, and you should be able to see the timer on your screen, right? All right, so some of you, and you know who you are if this applies to you, and you should be able to see it on your screen if it applies to you. Some of you are qualified to get extra time, and you know who you are. So you'll see that your time is longer. Whatever time it is, the standard time is 75 minutes. You can use every minute of whatever time it is. All right, don't feel like you have to be rushed. You can use every minute of that, and you really should use every minute of that. I don't know off the top of my head how many questions are on the math section, but if it mirrors the ACT, then it should be about a minute per question that they give you. So just keep that in mind. As soon as you press start, so don't start it early. I had students that started it early and it was a mess. Press start when you're ready to take it and get started. I would not use the restroom during any part of my test. That's just silly. All right, if you are like gonna pee your pants, sure, go and ask to use the restroom. But don't waste time on the test going to the restroom. I don't even let my group go during to the restroom. I tell them go now, right when you walk in at 7:15. We're reading instructions and not letting you out. All right, and it's just for your own benefit. So of course I don't want you to like pee on the floor or whatever. So if you need to go, then you can go. But otherwise, you have a 15-minute break after the test, and then you have just one test, and then you're done. So you should be fine. All right, but this test is pretty cool that they have on here. It's basically a practice aspire test, only 36 questions though. I'm sure your test will actually be longer. But there's a few things that I like about this practice test and a few things that I don't. I don't like that it doesn't save your work, and I don't like that it doesn't score you. So that's why we printed it on paper, and we'll give it to you tomorrow for the practice, and you will have to finish it tomorrow for the practice test. And we'll go over the answers for it on Friday. So we did make an answer key. We'll go over it on Friday. But I do want to show you some aspects of what it is going to be like online, since your test is actually online. And it's like this. So every multiple choice is going to have 5 options, not 4, like you might be used to. So if you have no clue what you're doing and you just guess, then you have a 20% chance of picking the right answer. If you can eliminate some obvious wrong answers, then your percentage of picking the right answer gets higher and higher. Ideally, you'd like to get it down to 2 possible right answers, and then pick whichever one you think is best. All right, but let's look at this one together. So Juliana divided the part of a number line from 0 to 1 into sections of equal length. She plotted points M on the number line as shown below. One of the following circles is shaded to represent a fraction that is equivalent to the number represented by point M. Which one? All right, so look at the number line. If you had to represent it as a fraction, how would you represent it as? How many sections do I have? 4. You have 4 sections, and M is on what point? 3. So 3/4, right? You don't count the first one as a separate section. There's 1, well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 sections from 0 to 1. And it's on 3 out of 4, so 3/4. And then we need to pick the circle that's shaded to match, where it's shaded 3/4 of the way. So looking at the options, which ones could you obviously eliminate? B for sure. A I would probably eliminate later, but I would eventually eliminate it. B for sure I would eliminate. What about C? I would eliminate that one, because if you shade a circle 3/4 of the way, wouldn't this unshaded part be bigger? That's not 1/4. So then, yeah, I would eliminate B and C right away. And then here's my other ones. Which other ones could we knock it down to? Right, so I would probably be stuck between E and maybe A, right? Or maybe E, D, and A. But even just selecting between those 3 instead of those 5, makes my chances a lot bigger. All right. We'll go over what the answer is another day, but that's a strategy you can use. There's also other ways that they format questions. Like sometimes you have to type in an answer. Use complete sentences. Make sure you're answering the question that they're asking. I don't need a whole paragraph. Just answer the question and then move on. So like this one says, explain what a line of symmetry is. And there's another part too, but first explain what a line of symmetry is. To make sure I answer the question, I'm going to use part of the question in my answer. I'm going to say a line of symmetry is blah, 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 blah. What's a line of symmetry?
A line that splits the shape into equal parts.
Good. A line that splits a shape into 2 equal parts. And then the next question of it says, explain why the dashed line drawn in the figure below is not a line of symmetry for the figure. Well, then I would say the dashed line drawn in the figure is not a line of symmetry because, so use part of the question as your answer. And why is it not a line of symmetry?
Because it's not full part.
Because it didn't cut it into equal parts. Boom, you're done. Move on to the next one. Is anyone else in line still?
And no, and he did.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Then yes, go ahead. Would you have your answers for this? Oh, okay, okay. All right. So then you move on. Right? Answer the question fully, move on, make sure you're reading the whole question. Maybe reread it once you type in your answer, the question, to make sure you answered it. And then you have other types of questions that are like drag and drop. Right? So make sure, like if it says to drag and drop all of these, that you drag and drop all of these. I don't know if those are actual answers. I'm just showing you, like the questions aren't always just A, B, C, D, E. All right, there's a few differences. Here's another, type in your answer and explain. Another multiple choice with 5 options. Another multiple choice with 5 options. And then another like drag and drop. All right, so just keep in mind like what it's asking of you to do. We'll actually let you do the practice test tomorrow, but it'll be on paper. And then we'll go over it Friday with this. But one thing that they told us that I'm starting to think is not true is that the calculator used would be Desmos. And it doesn't look like it. It looks like just a single function calculator, which are the worst. So here's how it works. It's basically like the same one that's on your phone, or your iPhone at least. I don't know about other phones. And it doesn't let you type in multiple things into the screen. So you would really have to know your order of operations. So like 100 divided by 2 plus 7. Like you see how it does it one at a time?
Yeah.
You have to equal. So not my favorite. If you need to make a number negative, that's what this symbol is for. Just plus or minus. And then whatever you need to do. Not my favorite. So what I would suggest is if you know you don't have another calculator, you're not going to invest in one, practice with like a single function calculator like this, or go to TestNav and pull up this calculator. It's not like the math they're asking you to do is that difficult, but I think you should all invest in your own calculator anyway. So let me show you a few calculators. So this one, the TI-84, I proctored tons of ACT tests, and those tests are normally on paper. I know they're trying to make it like on the computer in the future and stuff. But so far, they've always been on paper. No computers, no calculators on your computers. Students have to bring their own calculator, and this is the one they normally bring. It's a graphing calculator. It does everything that I've shown you on Desmos. It's pretty expensive. It's over $100. Same with like Casio's, also graphing calculators like this. Again, over $100. If you can't afford that, and I mean, I still think you should invest in them because you'll use it all of high school and college. And then I still use it because I'm a math teacher. Over 8 years, it levels out. But if you can't afford that, at a minimum, invest in this. It's $13 at most. It does everything you need to do other than graph. And it has parentheses, so like the way I tell you to type things in Desmos, you can use parentheses and squares and square roots and all of that. So this is my favorite because you can type multiple things in the screen and it does the order of operations for you. All right, so just consider it bringing your own calculator to the Aspire test. You are allowed to bring your own calculator. It just can't be on your phone and it can't be like those crazy expensive ones. These ones are perfectly fine. Questions on that? All right, so again, not that expensive. Will last you through the rest of high school. Maybe not college, but who knows? I think my boyfriend took a class in college and they didn't let you use graphic calculators. Whatever. So there's that. We'll do the practice test on another day. For the rest of the time, we'll play Kahoot just to kind of refresh our memory on some skills that they expect you to already know. So your points for the day are taking notes on that Kahoot paper.